What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Knives of the Round Table. My name is Marco, and today we're going to be taking a look at the LT Wright Workhorse. Now this was a suggestion from one of my viewers. You know, they've seen a little bit of kind of the knives that I've done, that I've reviewed in the past, or the ones that I own, and they suggested, hey, you may want to take a look at LT Wright. So I always take the suggestions very seriously because I think, you know, there's a lot of people out there that probably know very well what they're doing. So I went ahead and I took a look at the LT Wright lineup, and I decided on the Workhorse is the one that kind of appealed the most to me. So let me show you kind of what we have here. So this one is this is a D2. You can see the D right here. It's D2 steel, and you have, let me see if I have a ruler here. What you've got here, it's about a 4-inch blade, just a little bit shorter on the maybe 3 3/4 for the sharpened blade length. You've got a draw point saber grind here. You have this fairly round scales or handle. You got black liners here. You got this kind of this pretty interesting what you call it, pins, you know, with the brass and the, you know, and the nickel inside of it. And you have in the back you have a lanyard hole. So a fairly simple design, and we'll get into the review here in a second. But let me give you some size comparisons here. This is against the SC3. So the reason this was suggested to me is because this is the size that I like to carry the most. You know, whenever I'm camping, or if I'm at the ranch, or if I'm at our cabin up in the woods, this is the size that I like to carry on my person. Something along the size of the SC5 is the one that I would carry. I wouldn't carry it. I would have it on my bag or in my camp or something like that for more heavy duty stuff, but I wouldn't carry something like that. So that's why this one was suggested to me, because it's very much in the size vicinity as the SC3, of the Chris Ruvniala, of those kinds of knives. So here, if you don't have fixed blades and you're thinking about getting one, here it is against the PM2 and the PM3 and the Para 3. So it's very much, you know, when it's deployed, it's very much in the size of the Para of the Para 2. And so this is kind of the smallest size that I'll carry when, you know, when I'm out doing some you know, bushcrafting or camping type stuff. So that's why this was recommended to me, and I think it's a decent size. So let's get started with the review, and let me start with the ergonomics. And the ergonomics on this are surprisingly comfortable. You know, when you see these two handles, and they're dramatically different, right? This is much narrower and much fatter. And this one has this contouring. It has a palm swell here. You know, it's tall. Whereas this one is basically, it's very close to a circular handle. Okay, so it feels your hand very, very, very well. Yet it feels very nicely in the hand. I wear large gloves, and this one fits me very, very nicely. It's very comfortable to use. So the ergonomics on this are very good. You know, the only thing that I wish that they did differently on the ergonomics is that this scale, or this overlay here, the wood, it comes to a sharp end right here. It comes to an abrupt end. And what a lot of people do is they put a dimple down here for kind of a pinch grip. This is not a good example of it, but kind of, sort of. You can see how it doesn't, the scale doesn't come and straight down. It kind of tapers in here at the very end. So that's what I wish they'd done here. you know, so that when you do this kind of grip, you can pinch down here. And it also feels like the knife is incomplete, that it's not finished. That's what it feels like there. Now, for most grips, you know, hammer grip, saber grip, reverse grip, all of these, the knife is extremely comfortable in the hand for all of those grips, because this rounded shape to the handle. Let me see if I can give you kind of the bird's eye view. You know, it fills your hand very nicely, and it feels very nicely in the hand. So ergonomics, I would say, are very, very good. Now, let's get to cutting. Cutting was decent. It didn't come as sharp as I would have expected, you know, a knife to come out of the box, or at least as some other knives have come out of the box. And this is kind of a semi-custom, maybe a custom knife, probably semi-custom. So I would have expected a little bit better edge from what I got. I didn't have my sharp. It was a short trip, so I didn't have any of my sharpening stuff. So I kind of had to plod through it. And so cutting wasn't as, you know, for some of the camp tasks, you know, foot prep, those kinds of things, or carving notches, those kinds of things. I struggled a little bit just because it wasn't as sharp as it could be. But I think that the edge geometry is pretty good. It's pretty nice. I did a little bit of batoning because, you know, you can't really baton a whole heck of a lot with this blade, you know, just something about that big. But it did pretty good. It's not a thin blade stock. It's probably thicker than the SE. Yeah, it's far thicker than the SE. You can see right there the comparison with the SE. So it's a thicker blade. So for some smaller pieces of wood, you know, it's probably better for more of a kindling processing. You know, once you've done, you know, once you've cut whatever your 6 to 8 inch piece of wood into fourths, then this will probably come in handy. It's probably more manageable to do this, and I think it's a thick enough blade that you can baton with it. It feels very stout. It feels very sturdy. I wouldn't worry too much about damaging it. Now, one thing that I do want to mention is, you see, I don't know if you can tell here. Let me see if I can make sure that you see it. Yeah, you see the transition right where my thumb is at. So that is the transition from a rounded, polished a spine here of the knife, so it feels very comfortable in your hand, to a 90-degree sharp corner. And that's very nice, because to strike a ferro rod, this is very good at striking a ferro rod. It has a really nice sharp edge. I even did a little bit of I got some fat wood, and with fat wood, sometimes what you want to get is just very thin shavings, or just a little bit of kind of fat wood sawdust, if you will. And a sharp spine is very helpful for getting that, because sometimes, you know, you can get curls, but sometimes to get very, very fine curls is very difficult to do with your edge. But with a sharp spine, you can get a little bit of that dust that is very helpful for starting fires. So striking a ferro rod, so for fire starting, this knife is excellent. It's probably better than, well, than most of my other knives, or all of my other knives. I think the sharp spine on this is really, really good. So let's talk about fit and finish. Fit and finish was spotty. Let me say what. So like I said, the edge was not as nice as I would have wanted it to be. I think that the grind is fine. I think that the spine was really, really well done. I think that the handle is well done. The pins are a little inconsistent. Let me see if I can show you. For example, in this pin, you can see right around this area, right around here, there's like a gap, and there's like a gap over here, and there's a gap. So there's gaps on every one of the pins, and so it looks looks like it doesn't look good, is I guess what I'm trying to say. It just, there's little spots that kind of bother me. I don't know why they couldn't just make the pin just fill the hole completely. it just feels like it's unfinished. I think that the handle's really well done. It feels very nicely in the hand. That the whatever the coating that they're doing on this feels really good. Again, I wish that they've done the dimples here. You know, that narrowed this down. I may do that myself here in the future. I think the liners are very well done, and I think that the contouring of the steel to the handle, to the wood handles. I think these are maple, curly maple. You can see the shimmer right there. Is really good. One thing that I will mention is that I love the sheath. So this is the sheath it came with. It has a loop for a ferro rod. I don't have mine on there right now, but you can see it drops in almost full in. And you can see right here, I'm trying to hold it from the ferro rod. It's very secure. It's not going anywhere. You know, a lot of people say that Kydex is more secure, but I don't know what people are doing out in the woods. I don't know if they're hanging upside down, jumping up and down, or what. But for me, this is more than secure enough, and I think that the sheath is very good. It has several attachment points to attach it to my bag. It drops in nice and low, but you know, I'm probably gonna add a lanyard because it does drop in pretty deep. So to dig it out, you kind of have to pull it with your fingers, and then you can get a purchase on the knife. So very nice sheath. So I think I've talked about my airing of grievances. I think this should have been sharpened better. One grievance I always have is with these knives, they're not cheap, and maybe I can find out the price for you in a second. I'm coming, don't go away just yet. So yeah, so this is around $250, and for that price, I think D2 is kind of an old school type steel. I think there's for fixed blades, there's much better options out there. I mean, obviously I would like 3B on this. If I could get something like a Kruger would be awesome, but even like an S35VN for this size of blade, I'm not too worried about this S35VN and its toughness. You're not gonna do a whole heck of a lot of things that require toughness at this size of a blade. Again, the pins, you know, there's tiny little gaps that I wish that they weren't there. But in any event, I think it's a good knife. I think it's a decent knife. I'm gonna sharpen it, put a mirror edge on it, get it nice and sharp. And I think I'm gonna give it another go and see, because again, the ergonomics and the sheath works over well. So if I can improve a little bit on the cutting, I think this may very well become part of my permanent collection. So guys, there's your review of the LT Wright Workhorse. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you found it useful. If you did, then like and subscribe. And until I see you at the next one, take care.